Here we have another successful story with us. Today we have with us Mansehaj, and she cleared TEF exams in flying colors. Guys, what challenges did you face and how you overcame with this?
It's of course not an easy thing, especially depending on what level somebody wants to achieve in this language.
Why you decided to learn French?
These days, because I wanted to get my PR in Canada, it's become more and more difficult. It's become close to impossible for even...
So what made you choose School of French Language? See, you started from A1, then till B2, and then eventually to TEF exams, and you got C1.
Because it had to be more systematic, it had to be more pedagogic in some ways. So I was looking for an institute that would help me learn more systematically in a more organized way.
Bonjour and welcome to the School of French Language. Another episode where we have another successful story with us. Today we have with us Mansehaj, and she cleared TEF exams in flying colors. Guys, she scored CLB11, and in which she got CLB11 in reading, and she got CLB8 in writing, and overall it was CLB7. So welcome Mansehaj for the program School of French Language, and our congratulations to you for clearing your exams in flying colors. And we just want to know from you how you feeling about it after clearing your TEF exams with such flying colors.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm really happy to be here, really happy to be speaking with you. And of course, I'm elated. I am so relieved. I'm so excited about my score and having cleared this exam. It's taken some time, it's taken a lot of patience and a lot of effort. And I'm, of course, very grateful for having the environment through School of French Language and, all of your teaching to have helped me in this journey for sure.
Great, great. Toutes mes félicitations à vous, Mansehaj, for clearing this exam. Great. So we would like to know from you, the viewers here, can you tell a little about yourself, why you decided to learn French when you first decided? So why you decided to learn French?
It sounds good. So I live in Canada right now. I've completed my bachelor's in molecular biology and biochemistry. And I've been living here for 6 years now. I've worked here for 2 years in research settings in a research lab. Primarily, I always wanted to learn French as a hobby, but these days, because I wanted to get my PR in Canada, it's become more and more difficult. It's become close to impossible for even professionals, for people who have good degrees. So very soon, I wanted to learn French, so I was trying to learn casually through apps, following accounts on Instagram, and maybe that's why, I also got connected to School of French Language. That was my biggest reason why I wanted to learn French. I wanted to have a good level of competency, to have a high score, have more CRS points towards my PR.
Great. So now you have achieved your result, and I'm sure your parents, your family members would be very happy to know this.
Yes. Yes, they're very happy, for sure.
Great. So what made you choose School of French Language? See, you started from A1, then till B2, and then eventually to TEF exams, and you got C1 in reading and writing. So how all these things, why you choose School of French Language for this journey from A1 to B2?
Sounds good. So I think... I because I was trying to learn myself, I had some apps which were helpful in, building vocabulary and at least, having a nice relationship to the language, being able to learn at my own pace. But then I realized I wasn't making as much progress as I wanted because it had to be more systematic, it had to be more pedagogic in some ways. So I was looking for an institute that would help me learn more systematically in a more organized way. And I think School of French Language really helped me because there were other people, let's say from Canada, who were learning online. So I had, it was not like I was paying an institution in Canada, which would be very, very expensive. And, one day I was on Instagram and I found your account and I took like a test class and it really seemed to work well. And it seemed like it was perfect for me because you had a lot of structure and repetition and you gave a lot of time. So it was a great environment, and I chose to stay from A1 to TEF with School of French Language for that reason. So there were many, many reasons, and it worked great for me.
Great, wonderful, wonderful. So, one thing is, Mansehaj, that generally students feel that it's difficult to learn this language. But what challenges did you face, and how you overcame with this challenge? Because it's a long journey. Learning French is a long journey.
That's for sure. So it's of course not an easy thing, especially depending on what level somebody wants to achieve in this language. But of course, consistency is key. I think being in touch with the language every day really helped. And of course, building those connections. Like, for example, there were many aspects and areas where you had mentioned that there are no direct translations to English. But then, French is a gendered language. There's genders in adjectives, in verbs, in adverbs. And then it made sense to draw that connection to Hindi or Punjabi, where there were parallels. So I think to have a global perspective about the language and still try to be excited about it and not taking too much pressure where it feels just like a burden, and trying to enjoy the process a little bit helped a lot. And trying to listen to songs, trying to feel good about the progress we make little by little. I think that helped.
Great. See, staying motivated and continuously doing the things is something really, really important, which is necessary. And I've seen that in the passage of time, students, they generally just sometimes tend to go down, and then we need to again push them up that no, you can do it and come up. So, okay, great. So that was really nice. So, was there any specific thing that you would like to talk about? Any methodologies of teaching of School of French Language? Any particular trainers from School of French Language, those who helped you in making your base right from the beginning till the end, and how you made progress?
Sounds good. I think both you and Riti ma'am were instrumental in that learning. I think as far as methodology goes, I think the repetition and, reminding people about the things really helped. The exercises, getting homework, having tests from time to time were a big motivating factor. And of course, I think both of you were very, great in motivating and encouraging when, things were going in a good direction. To really keep up that pace, I think you were really helping with that. So that was amazing. And of course, also having a batch where you could communicate with other students and sometimes seeing that they're also doing well was encouraging.
Great. That's so nice. And you see, how you prepared for your TEF. We would like to know, the people would like to know here specifically your strategies, how you prepared for it, especially the speaking part, the listening part, and then we'll move on to reading and writing, where you got C1 and you got CLB11 and CLB8. So first let's discuss about the strategy of speaking and listening, because generally students, they find it difficult. So was School of French Language instrumental, and how you helped yourself to develop those strategies and how you came up with it?
Sounds good. It's a very big question in some ways. So I think like all the different components are of course linked to each other. For listening, I think it really, really helped to have the resources that School of French Language provided. The books that you had, which were catered to specific levels, and to learn incrementally really helped, because we got many recordings for appropriate levels with the transcriptions. So I would try to listen as much as I could and try to understand from my own self. And then if I couldn't understand something, I would go to the transcriptions. I would read every single word and make sure I understood every single line, and then listen to that recording again. And I wanted to make sure that I could piece together when somebody was saying something and I'd already read that I could make that connection. And then, of course, sometimes people say that learning French is difficult, but one thing that I find really easy about the French language is, if you know how to read it, the pronunciation will always be as it is given letter by letter. It's not like in English, where you can have a word and it can be pronounced in different ways. So it's very unambiguous in that way. It's like in Hindi or Punjabi where we have matras and that's spoken exactly like it is. So it really helps in making that connection and understanding how things are pronounced. So just for listening, I think the recordings really helped. Closer to my exams, I made sure I was listening to at least 3 recordings every day. And I was doing the transcriptions every day, so that really solidified my learning. And then for even from the enjoyment point of view, I would listen to French songs. If I was in the shower, sometimes I would listen to French music. So that was one part. If I was walking during my transit, I have a long transit from work to home, I would make sure I'm listening to French. And then for my before my TEF exam, I also listened to a lot of French radio, so and French news, so on Spotify. So that also helped me. That was from the listening part, and then for the speaking part, I think for speaking it really helped me to read things aloud. So sometimes if I had samples of speaking tasks for TEF, and I would see, let's say, sample questions, and I would read those, but I would read them aloud, and then I would also read them or like speak them aloud without looking at it. So as if I was saying those dialogues and saying and meaning those dialogues when I said them with the right kind of expressions, and practicing those things with you in class and one-on-one really helped for my exam. So those things were key among like many other things that we have to do before that to form that base.
Yes. So that one-on-one classes, the speaking sessions, and one thing very good, rightly you said, you created the environment, which we always say to our students that in order to learn this language, one needs to live with this language. And I can very proudly say that you lived with this language. As you mentioned, while you were in transit, you were listening to the podcast or to the stuffs or to the news onto the radios or onto YouTubes and the stuffs. And when you were doing the listening part, you were also listening to the music, the French music, and that helped create the environment, which is essential, which is very, very essential. And that's so nice, that's so great. So that helped you up. And on the speaking, as you said, one-on-one speaking, yes, I do remember the things that we used to do and how we moved up from level to level, and slowly the improvement came in. So that's really wonderful. But I must say, it's a hard work of yours. It's a really, really very hard work. You worked very consistently and very thoroughly. Whatever task was assigned to you, I remember you used to do all those tasks right on time, and you used to be the first person saying that yes, I've done it, and that all those things that has helped you bring this result. Great, that's so wonderful. And what about reading? I mean, getting 11 is awesome, really awesome.
Thank you, sir. So for reading, again, a bunch of things. I made sure I read the books. And like I was saying, just how the different components are connected to each other. So for listening, I made sure I was reading the transcription. So even within the transcription, there were so many phrases, there were so many words that we could catch on. And like I said, I tried to make sure that I understood every word. So, I would highlight those, I would make a note of them, I would sometimes revisit them. And then whenever I read anything, of course, like I would read that globally to understand, that I understand the gist of it. But then it was my attempt to try to understand every word. And sometimes when sometimes it's easy to make those connections. Like, let's say, parameters in English is paramètre en français, but there's other words where that direct connection does not exist. So for those, I would sometimes, you know, reiterate them 5 times in my mind and try to, you know, really memorize that word if I knew this was difficult. And then closer to my TEF exam, I was also, like you had recommended once, I was making different books. So I had one for vocabulary, for example, and then I had one for phrases, because there's also false friends in French where sometimes it cannot mean like what you might think it means.
Yes.
Um, so I try to distinguish those things, and I try to read as much as possible. I try to read news articles, Yahoo on like Yahoo.fr. So I try to do a bunch of things.
So you did everything that was told in the class to do.
Yes. Yes, I try to do as much of that as possible.
Great, great, great. And you see, that's what I say, that if you follow it to the T, the instructions that we give into the class, guys, if you follow it, you will reach to
Yes.
the goals. You will reach to the goal. That's what
The
it
more
is.
zoned in you are, sometimes like living in Canada, especially, every item that is sold, it's marketing. It's written in English and French. So even I was so in tune with wanting to learn French is I would look at products, I would look at things that are in the pantry, and see if I could understand the French meaning. So I would look at a shampoo bottle and see its description of like how to use it, or or what its ingredients are, and I would see that, you know, can I understand if I was only reading the French part.
That's
So if for Canadians, it's all around you. So
Yeah, so that is what helped you. That's what I always say to the students: create the environment. Once you live in that environment, then the things will come. So you did exactly what was told, Mansehaj, and that brought the results to you, and it's really awesome. And that's really hard. I mean, to work like this also. That when the English is written and you are reading French, because that's really, generally the tendency is we go with the English because it's smooth to us, so we go to that. But you choose to be at that part, that let's first understand what's there in French, and all these things, that's really added to it. Great, wonderful, 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 wonderful message. And
thank you.
what advice? Before that, let me just let's explain how was your first reaction when you saw the result. What was your first reaction, and how you felt about it when you got that result in hands?
There was a bit of disbelief. There was just a little bit of disbelief because it also seemed too good to be true, because it's, you know, not to, in French we say ne pas me vanter, like not to boast about myself,
Yeah.
but it is a bit of an achievement. And for me, it was also a big relief because I also knew I'm not going to stop trying to take an attempt if, you know, if I didn't get the result that I wanted. But knowing that I could now relax and I could enjoy, I could plan other things, I could focus on other aspects of life,
Yes.
was a big relief.
Great. I remember you used to say, sir, इस summers में मेरा ये खत्म होना चाहिए, and you really did it. You really did it, huh? And during the summer period, you did it. You always used to say, I want to enjoy my summer. I still remember. I want to finish and I want to enjoy my summer days here. So,
Yes,
are you now enjoying your summer days?
yes, yes. I
Great.
have a Spain planned, so I don't have to think about it.
That's so nice. That's so nice. So, what advice do you give to the students, those who just thinking of starting learning French, and still in their mind they are thinking कि पता नहीं होगा कि नहीं होगा? So, what advice you want to give it to them?
And this also takes me back to like a French saying. I think it's called personne n'est expert, which
Right.
means nobody's born an expert. So I don't think we can find out until we try. So it's very important to try and to see if it works for you. I think it's obviously very important, and it helps in many other aspects. Even outside of my PR now, when I tell other people, if they ask me, oh, how many languages do you speak, especially like if you're in Canada, and then they expect that, okay, this person will probably speak Hindi, Punjabi, and English, and then if I also say French, it's something, it's impressive.
Yes.
So there's many benefits to learning a new language, and it's also, once you get to a point of having made that achievement, it gives you a lot of sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. So it's all about being patient and putting in the work and being consistent, but it's certainly possible.
Great, great, great. And how has this learning French and getting to such a high score in TEF exams changed your life? What are your future plans now?
It's definitely an important milestone in my life, because now I've already started gathering my documents for my PR. I just wasn't in the pool, but there was a recent draw, and I could have easily gone through in that with my score now. And I'm looking forward to the other ones. So there's that. I now know that I can, be at peace with that aspect, and then plan other things, maybe like my future studies, knowing that, I have a future here, and also, plan other things like plan my wedding and just enjoy for a bit
Great,
and have more security.
great, great. We wish you all the best for all your
Thank you.
future endeavors, Mansehaj. And it
Thank
was
you.
really, really a wonderful journey. And now you are completely free to enjoy the life out there and plan for your future, your studies, your settlement, and all such stuffs for the coming future. So, finally, what would you say to someone who's unsure and they can do, or they feel nervous about starting French language, and still they are in dilemma to do or not to do?
Um, I would say it's very worth it, especially depending on the demographic. If you're somebody living in Canada, I think, especially for PR, which was my biggest motivation, I think it's the biggest key in trying to get your PR these days. So I've also recommended that to my family members, my friends. So I always encourage people to start this journey and do the best that they can. I think it's totally worth it.
Great, 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 great. Thank you so much, Mansehaj, and I still remember how hard work you did to reach out to this level, because it's not easy living there in Canada, and with work, with life, with studies, and learning a new language. And it was really a challenging thing, but yes, you nailed it, and all my best to you for your future endeavor and all your future successes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate, and I'm grateful for all that you taught, and of course the environment that you created, and the sense that this is possible and it can be done. Um, Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope this detailed interview will go a long way with the students, those who are thinking of doing it and still thinking whether they can do it or not. They feel that yes, if Mansehaj can do it, they all can do it also out there. So all it takes
For
is
sure,
a little
for
effort,
sure.
little try. So great,
For sure.
great, great. Thank you, Mansehaj. Thank you, and all the very best. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.